All right, so on the program this morning, we are flying the skies and we're looking at aviation in Nigeria, piecing together a roadmap for development and sustainability. My guest is no stranger to the microphone, so I'm bringing him right away. Comrade Francis Akinjole is General Secretary of the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, ATSSSAN. Comrade Francis Akinjole, nice to have you in the building. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's been a very, very long time you've been here, right?
Yeah.
So, like, how many years ago? When was the last time you were here?
Is it not up to 3 years?
Oh, 4 years ago.
About 3 or 4 years ago, but I've been elsewhere.
All right. So listen to, okay, all right, face the left here. You can see our cameras, like, showing the roads. What do you make of it?
Interesting. You guys are doing pretty good work here. I've never seen it like this, but I enjoy when I hear you.
Which is very, very good. All right, let's jump in on the program right away, Mr. Akinjole. Let's kickstart this conversation by properly identifying your association and what you guys do in the aviation sector. So, which body is yours and whose interests are you representing?
Yes, as the name implies, we are the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. We are predominantly to see to the well-being, that is interest in totality of the senior staff of the aviation sector in Nigeria.
Okay.
And we are an affiliate of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, WFTU. We are also the affiliates.
All right. So senior staff. So you are representing the interests of senior staff that are working in the aviation sector.
Yeah,
is this a new association?
No. We've been around since 1984, formally.
That's a long time. Over 41 years,
yes.
So to say.
Yes.
All right. So let's touch base with the aviation sector, really. So from the perspective of ATSSSAN, how would you assess the aviation sector today in Nigeria?
Well, aviation is part of the precariously affected services in Nigeria. We cannot be extricated from the happenings in Nigeria as a whole. We have our ups and our downs. Unfortunately, it appears as if the down ones are overriding the upward ones.
All right. Which is quite unfortunate, really. But some have said Nigeria is on the right trajectory. I mean, there are a lot of things that are changing in today's world. So are you seeing that? Is there real development in that sector at all?
It depends on the perspective from where you are seeing this. If you are a player in the aviation industry, you will discover that we are not moving as we ought to be moving. Okay. We are not, but there is hope.
So what is responsible? I mean, why are we having this slow growth? Why the snailish development that we're finding in this sector? What's happening?
Aviation is a capital-intensive sector. Mm-hmm. And the challenges confronting Nigeria as a whole affects the aviation sector very, very much. The players, the airliners, the owners of the airliner, it's like they are not doing enough. There are some things they should do if they know that they are not capable of doing it alone. But every one of them wants to be everywhere.
All right.
At the same time.
All right. So this assessment you're giving now, is this a direct fallout of policy formulation or ineffective policy implementation?
Both
of them.
Yes.
Okay. So let's begin to dissect them one after the other. Regulation, for instance. NCAA is the body that's supposed to be regulating that particular industry. How are they performing from the perspective of ATSSSAN?
They are improving now.
Now?
Yes, tremendously improving now. We give very loud boost to the President Director General of the NCAA.
What are they doing really that's changed from the past?
He motivates the staff of NCAA.
Okay.
Among which we have our members, and they are equally giving their best.
Okay. So NCAA is doing well in terms of trying to ensure that their staff, the members are well encouraged, well motivated. But in terms of providing infrastructure, what do you think is happening in that regard?
The infrastructures have always been there. But if you look into the infrastructure alone without taking care of the human factor, the infrastructure will just lie there without achieving the intended goal.
Right.
That is why we give it to Najoma now.
Which of the agencies do you work for?
I don't work. I work for ATSSSAN.
ATSSSAN, generally.
I'm a permanent staff of ATSSSAN.
ATSSSAN,
I'm a lawyer, but I am the head of the administration of ATSSSAN.
Okay, so we've done a little bit of assessment with the regulator NCAA. What about FAN, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria? How would you describe them? How would you rate them?
They are also doing good. You see, FAN has a lot of challenges, but these days it's like they are surmounting these challenges as well. You could notice there are improvements in the infrastructures that have been provided by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria.
Yeah, but we still have people complaining. I mean, not too long ago we did a program on this station, and people were still saying, I mean, when you go to some of those toilets at the airports, they're not properly washed, and those kind of issues and that kind of thing. So I mean, should that still be reoccurring in 2025?
The question is, how are they before now? How are they before now? They will continue to improve. They will continue to improve. Go to our airport, especially go to Abuja. Sometime 2 years ago, you will say something else if you go there now about what people are complaining about.
So things are really changing.
They are changing, but they have not really gotten there.
All right. So if you had to rank the aviation sector in Nigeria in comparison to other African countries, how would you rate it? How are we performing?
Are you saying I should score?
Yes, give us a score, if you can.
Well, it's difficult. It is difficult. But what I can say is that we are improving and we have our aims, which we are going to attain in the nearest future. Okay,
so recently, FAN, for instance, they were thinking of, putting a kind of increment to some of their rates. The rates they collect at those airports. And they were stressing the fact that when you go to most other airports, even in Africa, what they charge as toll in some of those areas in Nigeria is far, far lower than what they have in most other countries. And to that effect, they also want to modernize the system of those collections so that they can make it much more electronic. What do you make of that?
That is true. Even locally, without even going outside the country, what FAN charged was pretty minute. We have some other operators in Nigeria, like we have the BSL, the Bi-Continental Services Aviation Services Limited.
Right.
They have their own charges as well. FAN has its own charges. If you compare them before now, especially, you will see that they are miles apart. Perhaps maybe because it is believed that FAN belongs to the federal government. So they cannot stay stagnant if we really seek improvement in services and infrastructure. So now go to the other African country. It is true. What our operators pay in other country is far, far more, even in terms of dollar, than what Nigeria charges the other operators from other countries.
So FAN is right then?
Yes, they are right.
Right. But for we, the consumers?
You see, it is the consumer that are craving for better services.
Right.
This thing cannot just be fixed authoritatively, even by FAN. There are stakeholders to be engaged. So interest of consumers will definitely be taken into consideration fairly.
All right, let's talk about, the Honorable Minister, that's Festus Keyamo, SAN. He's been there now. This is going to 2 years. What do you make of his leadership so far over the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development? Is there a drastic turnaround?
You see, I wouldn't like to say much about the Honorable Minister. He's trying his best for now. But remember, I'm a unionist. And part of my responsibilities and duties is to keep him on his toe. He's doing what he's doing now, and we are watching. So whenever we notice any aberration, we know the channel to follow. So we know where we are coming from before his arrival.
Right.
So we have to be very, very patient and stay watching.
Okay. So let's talk about, some of the challenges that are confronting the sector as we speak today. There are lots of challenges. What are some of those challenges that you guys have seen from ATSSSAN's perspective?
Come again, please.
The challenges that are confronting the sector.
High flight tickets.
Which is very, very common. I mean, people want to purchase tickets today. You find that this morning could be 150. Within the next 2 hours, 190 if you're going to fly to Abuja from Lagos, for instance. So what's causing that? Why are we having those increased rates of tickets in Nigeria?
Like where I started from, I said this sector is highly capital intensive. They will tell you some of the areas where they spend this money upon do this check, acquire this, acquire that, is very, very capital intensive and is dollarized,
Right.
And the amount of naira that you use to get a dollar now, it has to be high when it is translated into buying tickets by the consumer. I think that is one of the reasons. So government can come to their aid.
In terms of bringing in subsidy?
Well,
would that be the recommendation? Is that the suggestion?
No. If that would resolve it, at least minimally, it's not out of place. It is not only Nigeria that will embrace subsidy. It is being done elsewhere, even in the supposedly advanced countries.
Right.
Even within the African setup, they are subsidizing. So
Okay.
I don't know why we cannot subsidize.
So
equally in terms of the aviation fuel, the Jet A1,
Right.
government can do much more about that as well, so that the flying prices can come down drastically. Flying should no longer be a privilege, because it appears is the safest mode of transportation now in Nigeria.
Right.
Nobody kidnaps anybody in the air. There are no hijacks. So they should make it easy for
Right.
Nigerians to fly.
All right. So figures at my disposal says that due to the costs, people that are flying, even domestically, the numbers have dropped drastically. From 70% now, we're talking in the realms of 30%. So people are really, really not finding it easy in terms of the cost, and that's why you have lesser people that are flying these days. And you are suggesting that there should be something that government can do about that. You talk about Jet A1, but in terms of the aircraft, do we have enough? Because I know shortage of aircraft is another issue.
We don't have enough. It is obvious. We don't have enough. And the reasons are not far-fetched. Like I said, it is capital intensive. And if you are not a very serious investor, you will not want to commit your resources into the aviation.
Right.
As you have just acknowledged, the passenger, the
number of passengers
is dropping.
Right.
It's dropping. That is not what they wish.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we can expand this discuss beyond the studio. 080-99-120-777 and 091-5387-7127. This morning, we're looking at aviation in Nigeria, piecing together a roadmap for development and sustainability. And Comrade Francis Akinjole is General Secretary of the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. If you want to add your voice to the conversation, feel free to do so. And that's on 09153877127. Do you have a call? All right, let's take this call. Hello there.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Shegun.
Shegun, how are you doing?
I'm very good.
All right, Shegun, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Surulere.
Go ahead, Shegun.
I just want to find out how come traveling within the country is very, very expensive. And compared to other countries in West Africa, why is it that Nigeria's aviation flights are very, very expensive?
Okay.
Is it only aviation fuel, or are there other reasons to it?
All right, thank you so much for that one, Shegun.
Wow.
All right, so Comrade, I mean, he's asking you the very big question: how come it's pretty expensive to fly even from one part of Nigeria to the other?
I am very, very sure the gentleman that just asked this question knows a little part of it. I'm sure. And what is it? the major causative factor is our exchange rate.
Okay.
It's our exchange rate, 1,005 to 1,006 to dollar. And this industry is predominantly bedeviled by this exchange rate. Everything they do in this sector is in dollar.
Okay. It's
in dollar.
So that's what determines the price.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if there's any other thing that we can do in that regard. 08099120777. Comrade Akinjole, I know before the former administration rounded off its tenure, there was the talk of we having a national carrier. And up to today, we are yet to really come up with one. So from ATSSSAN's perspective, what's going on?
You see, that is a very, very painful renaissance. If the immediate past minister of aviation had concentrated on this, perhaps we'll be singing a new song, different song now. Even this pricing of the air ticket could have been impacted, but they were majorly focusing on concession, and regrettably, it's like that is what we are still facing now. The present minister himself is on concession majorly.
So you feel is concession not the way to go?
When we are saying there should be improvements in the services rendered in the aviation industry, one of the options is concession. Okay. We are no longer tackling concessioning of the airport headlong because it is government policy. So if there is a way they can do it without negatively impacting on the labor force here in the aviation sector.
Lagos Traffic Radio, we have some messages here. This one says, good morning, Victor. Comrade Akinjole, so from where you stand, what would you say are the three most urgent issues facing aviation in Nigeria today? Sheyi is sending this one in from Okota. Sheyi, thank you so much.
Yeah, like I said, aviation fuel, which is what they call Jet A1.
Okay, that's a major challenge.
Yes, it's one of the major challenges facing. And again, all these aircrafts that are being used are on lease from abroad. And they have these terms embedded in the contract term that you must service it within so and so. And they hold the responsibility, the lessors of the aircraft.
Right.
You have to take them there. And that's why I said that everything is dollarized. You have to look for this dollar.
So it's not very easy for anyone who wants to set up an airline in Nigeria? Is that the way it is? Is it very challenging?
It is not easy. It is not easy.
All right, this one says, good morning. Why do you think Nigeria hasn't quite reached its full potentials in aviation, given our population and strategic location? You didn't put your name, but thank you so much. So why is that so? Why are we not reaching our potentials? I mean, we have over 200 million people in Nigeria. Let's assume about 10% of that are flying. So why are we not reaching our full potentials?
It is just the same way we have not reached our full potentials in other sectors. Even within the transport sector, the land, the rail, the sea, and the aviation, the air as well. It's the same reason. And we all know the reasons.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This one says, good morning, Victor and Comrade. Please, is it true that some domestic routes are monopolized, making flights more expensive than they should be? Funke is sending this one in. Thank you so much, Funke.
I didn't get that question.
Is it true? Let me get that. Say, good morning, Victor and Comrade. Please, is it true that some domestic routes are monopolized, making flights more expensive than they should be?
No.
It's not true.
There is no mafia in the aviation industry. Okay. NCA is there to do the needful if you apply. Okay. If you are interested in getting the routes, you get them.
Let's talk about viable airports in Nigeria. ATSSSAN, from your perspective, we have some airports that are very, very viable. And then we still have, some state governments are coming up with different airports here and there, knowing fully well that those airports are not viable. What do you say to that?
It depends on what you term as viability. Airport is not meant for only human traffic. There are cargo airports, which I would sincerely encourage the states to embark upon. They are doing this.
Yeah, but how viable are they? I mean, we have a cargo airport in Ogun State, for instance, which the Ogun State government put in place. But what's the volume of traffic that goes there?
It's a work in progress. It's a function of what is being produced in those states. If there's nothing to be conveyed, how viable would they be? So that's why I said that it's a chain. This thing depends on one another.
All right. So would that be a wrong conception? I mean, if you look at it, if you do not have what you're producing or perhaps what you are shipping to other parts of the country, wouldn't that be a wrong conception?
That's why I said that it's a work in progress.
Okay.
The airport should not be the only one that should be developed. We have just complained now that we are not where we are supposed to be.
Right.
So it is not when these items are now become available that we start thinking of constructing the airports.
All right, 09153877127. This one says, why are international flights from Accra or Cotonou cheaper than they are from Lagos? Sheon Ibrahim is sending that one in. Sheon, thank you so much. Why is that so?
That's a very big one. It's not only Sheon that is complaining about that. Our government has a lot to do in that direction. You could recall that recently, the ATRO has just been added to the earpiece.
Yeah. Earpiece now has a space.
The job was not done by only the earpiece. It involved government intervention.
Right. So government needs to
play
a role in that regard.
Exactly.
All right. So let's move forward now and begin to round up the program this morning. So, Comrade, from your perspective, what do you expect in the next 3-4 years for Nigerian aviation?
I will say what should be my prayer.
What's your prayer?
My prayer is that we move from where we are, even if we have not gotten there. There should be significant improvement in the aviation sector. So I want to see the renewed hope agenda to positively impact upon the aviation sector. Like I said in the beginning, that flying should not be a privilege. I want to see more people flying domestically and internationally, especially domestically in Nigeria.
So our domestic airlines should be much more active. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
All right, then. It's nice having you in the building. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me once again.
All right, here's Comrade Francis Akinjole, who is the General Secretary of the Air Transport Services Senior Staffs Association of Nigeria. And this morning on the program, we've been able to look at aviation in Nigeria, piecing together a roadmap for development and sustainability. We have to go. The program has been produced by Dayo Anthony. Maximum shout out going out to Rebecca Adamu, who's Assistant Director of Public Relations for the Nigerian Shippers Council. Deborah Johnson in the building. And I say a big thank you to Okpayemi Shodunke and Remy Aluko. Our executive producer is Tayo Akole. My name is Victor Oteri. Have a great day. Bye.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a needle. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng. Allow us on top 0818-888-8895 or 0703-584-6468.
For you, we dey give it back,
Nigerian Shippers Council with the meeting for the port of una need.